Hey everybody, John Henry Soto here. Welcome to JHS Interviews. And today I am very, very excited to have somebody who actually I've known quite some time. Ladies and gentlemen, this is George Batista. Now, just a quick thing. George Batista is my cousin. We are actually related. Can't you tell? We look identical. Um, and we actually played in the same band together for many years, a few bands together. We kind of learned to play music together, and we've actually, and you could probably attest to this, we actually were also into health and fitness as kids, right?
Yep.
Like
Yes,
we
we
were
were.
like not normal, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
we would work out. You got a bench. I'd go there and work out. We go look at all the supplements that they had
Yes,
at the GNCs and all the places that we would go to.
that's
I
right.
mean, we were really into health and fitness, and it kind of stuck with us.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Hmm.
I still, I'm not the best, but I'm fairly healthy. I try to work out when I can. I haven't. I've been bad for about 2 weeks now, but um, and George has become a health coach. He's a health professional. Now I have to add an exclaimer here, a exclaimer that we are not doctors. He is not a doctor. We are not recommending that anyone drop any medication or stop seeing a doctor for any of this stuff. This is advice. These are things that have been known to work. They have their reputation is high, and that's what we're actually going to be discussing today. So, with that said, let's talk about the truth. No, I'm just kidding. Um, so let's thank you for being here. By the way, I appreciate it, man.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, we have a history and stuff on with stuff like this. And one of the other things that I think is important is that we're both Puerto Rican. We both grew up with surrounded by the worst food that you can possibly have, the best tasting food, and not even that you can't eat it, but if you're consistently eating that kind of food, you're really it's no good, man. It's no good.
Very true.
You have to kind of like chill a little bit, but it is tasty food. But we grew up with that, and it was such a bad situation for us because my grandma Abuelita would make food, and I remember one year I didn't eat meat for a year. I was like 17 or something, like 18. And she would flip out, pero ¿cómo tú no vas a comer carne?
Yeah, that's
Ahí está
unheard
la
of.
habichuela,
That's
pero
unheard of in our culture.
yeah, it's unheard of. Um, but it was something that I guess innately I kind of knew that you got to give your body some type of a rest from eating
Right.
so much meat. I was a vegetarian for 3 years. I didn't fall out. I kind of stopped. But with all that said, it's another thing that I want to kind of impart to the Latin community. Your choices. You do have choices. You can still have good food, but you could also live a healthy life and live longer, and not just longer, because I think people can live longer now, but those last 10 years, if you're all messed up, then what's the point? You know what I mean? You're like
Exactly.
limping around, losing parts and blind, and and you're living to be long, but it's just
Yeah.
not worth it. So it's be nice to just live to be a good ripe age of 95 and be healthy, at least let it be, natural causes kind of a deal.
Absolutely.
And you can get there. So George, tell me a little about, like, your background and what drove you to this. What was your interest in getting healthy? I mean, you have been for a very long time. I know you've always been conscious of it, but what was it that made you take the next step into actually becoming a health coach?
Well, I think it was more frustration than anything else, and I'll tell you why. Because when I was younger, and you know me when I was younger, like I said, when we used to work out, I was always afflicted with something. Okay, I used to get chronic bronchitis every year. I used to have very bad seasonal allergies. I had bad stomach problems. I was always in the hospital when I was a kid with stomach viruses, constantly on antibiotics. And
I
it
remember,
was
yeah.
just, yeah, it was just constant. And as I got older, it just kept going. And, I would take the normal pharmaceuticals and the over the counter drugs and all that, which kind of suppressed or put a band aid on the situation, but really it didn't really stop it. So I became, as I got older, I became obsessed with, there's got to be another way. There's got to be something I can do to to stop all this from happening. I can't just live life like this. So
Right.
what I started to do is I started listening, as I got older, to different nutritionists, and I started reading nutrition magazines, and started, looking at different supplements and what they can do, and this, back then the internet wasn't even around, and then it was in the early stages, so we didn't have all the information that we have now. So when I started looking at all those information, I was like, oh, let me try this, let me see if this works, so I little by little, and I was my own experiment. I just figured I started, try it, see how it works, and things for allergies and things for bronchitis and whatever the case may be. And sure enough, as time went along, things little by little started to get better. Allergies started to disappear. Bronchitis, I started to get less and less every year. I had back pain that started to disappear,
Mm.
and simple. I mean, even things like circles under the eyes, I had that. And stomach problems started to disappear. So, I said, okay, there's something to this.
Mm.
So I started doing more research, and I literally became kind of obsessed with it. And it's funny because a lot of people know me from my music background and over, 25, 30 years of playing music, and with you as well. But a lot of people didn't know that I was really also obsessed with nutrition
Right.
during this time. And what ended up happening was I said, after I felt so much better, eating better as well, obviously, I said, I wonder if I could help other people do this. I did it for myself. I could probably show other people how to do it. So I started taking some nutrition courses, started, talking with nutritionists and even functional medicine doctors, which I still talk to today, and eventually got certified as a nutritionist and, nutrition coach, and just started little by little working with friends and family and saying, hey, try these supplements, try this food, try this. And it kind of just grew from there.
Yeah.
So it's been an
Great.
amazing journey.
That's great. And you mentioned functional medicine, which like something that people don't really hear often. And when they
Right.
hear it, they're kind of like, "What is that?" And my story, and I don't even know if you know even this situation, but my son, I think I talked about it before earlier on this show, but my son was diagnosed with with having some type of juvenile arthritis.
Right. Right. I did
This
see that.
He was only like a year and a half at the time. He's 3
Hmm.
now. And
Hmm.
but it was chronic. Like he couldn't stand. Like he would actually
Wow.
stand and his knees were swollen. He would start crying and just saying that he couldn't stand, and we would have to pick him up. And I mean, even right now thinking about it just breaks my heart, that he
Sure.
went through that pain. And Pamela and I were just like just devastated. We didn't know what to do. We took him to the hospital, and one of the doctors, and again, I'm not to knock doctors, because I know a lot of nutrition, natural people, nutrition and doctors, they always collide and they're always bashing one another. People's hearts are in the right places wherever they are. You know
Right.
what I mean? I do believe that. And it wasn't the doctor's fault, but the doctor came in and she basically said to me, and this was word for word, I'm not even changing anything. In my heart of hearts, I really believe it's juvenile arthritis. So that diagnosis to me was so weak.
Right.
I remember looking at her, and I was kind of shocked. I thought that she was going to give us something more, but in
Wow.
my heart of hearts, she really believed that it. But they didn't do a test that showed that it was. It was just that it was inflammation, and
Right.
what inflammation does. So we had some friends in Florida, in Clearwater, from our religion, from our religion, that recommended somebody here in Jersey, in Patterson.
Hmm.
And so we went, functional doctor, functional medicine. He did blood tests that like nobody does. Like he did these very intensive blood tests that really broke down. And after we got these tests, he was like, he doesn't have arthritis. He's got like a gut thing, and he had like some, everything's in the gut, right?
Right.
And
Correct.
so he gave us like some cream for his knees, some supplements, and we did that for about 8 months. He, I can't stop him from running. He runs everywhere. He is not
Unbelievable.
one sign of inflammation or anything. And now he eats regularly, like his body adjusted, I mean, like the body heals itself, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
we gave the body a chance to heal itself. The
exactly.
medicine that they gave him, because we did try the medicine, because we were desperate at the beginning, the actual pharmaceutical stuff, made him like really hot and sweaty, like he would get into these heated, feverish things,
Mm,
and he would cry, and the medicine, it was just a really, really hard time for us. And I empathize with people that actually, have to go through their children who are really, really sick. It's just the hardest thing to watch. And for me, it was very clear that there was something missing. There was something drastically missing in how a person gets diagnosed.
right.
Because here's a kid that, had we not been, my wife is like, she is like, she was not gonna take this, and she was gonna keep fighting, and she was gonna keep getting second opinion, third opinion, fourth, whatever it took, until, because it just didn't make any sense. None of that runs in our family. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
not even a normal thing,
Right.
for us. And so, when she found this, we realized, wow, this is really scary, because had we just gone that route, I don't know. They said he can't recover from it. This was their words again. Again, not to bash him. This is just what they told me. I have paperwork. So it's over here. I have paperwork of what they said. It,
Right.
it doesn't can't get recovered. There's no cure. He has to be taking the medicine for the rest of his life. Now, he was
Wow.
1.5. He was 1.5, older. And so that to me was it. That's my story on functional medicine. Because when you mentioned, I was like, okay,
Yeah,
and the Dr. Ages here basically saved my son.
absolutely.
He saved my son.
Absolutely.
Whenever I see this guy, to me, I'm looking at like, the holiest man. He basically saved my son. Him, his
Absolutely.
wife. They have a wonderful practice over here in Patterson, and they have beautiful kids. And it's just like, so there is alternative. And I guess that's why you call it alternative medicine, right? Um,
Correct.
Again, we're not suggesting anyone out there stop taking whatever you're taking. Okay, don't do that. We're suggesting to do some research, and maybe ask your doctor about it, right? People are always saying, all those drug medicine, all those drug commercials, right? Ask your doctor about,
Right.
Alice or whatever, whatever, which one it
Right.
is. I'm just like thinking to myself, why don't people just ask their doctor? I want to like not take a lot of medication. What can I do? You know.
Well, it's
So
interesting because that the science of functional medicine, those type of doctors or naturopathic doctors as well, which is one of the ones that I go to on a regular basis, they they look at you differently. They look at you
right,
as a whole person because they know that everything is connected.
right,
If you look at traditional medicine, and again, doctors, they're not bad people. They have great intentions. They want to help people. That's why they got into what they're doing. Okay. It's just a different way of looking at it because the way they do it is they dissect the body into different parts. And they say if that part has inflammation, then we have to treat that part and that's it. And we have to give them a medication for that part.
right,
Whereas functional medicine doctors, naturopaths, they look at the whole person and they say everything is connected. So we're going to give you something that's going to help with everything because they know that that's the way the body really works.
right,
The biochemistry of the body. And when and not only that, they'll sit down and they will sit there for an hour with you and do a consultation and talk about what they can do. As a matter of fact, talking about that blood test, I would say 3 to 4 months ago, I had a test like that, a blood test,
Mm.
35 vials of blood.
Holy cow!
Okay, yeah.
Is this
And
guy
this,
named Dracula?
yeah, I'm telling you, it was like, I'm surprised I wasn't on the floor passed out, but it was
Yeah.
the amount of information that I saw after that was incredible. I mean,
Wow.
down to every vitamin and mineral that was important. You could see every single little thing, and these are things that are not done in normal traditional labs, right?
Right.
Insurance,
Yeah.
usually doesn't pay for it anyway. So, but it's, again, it's a different way of looking at treating the person and healing.
Right. And it is functional. I mean, what you
Correct.
said, that's why it's called functional medicine, because it does see the
Exactly.
whole entire function of the body and how it operates.
Exactly.
Whereas if somebody has a bad knee, their knees hurt, like you hear this a lot from people that are a little bit heavy.
Right.
They're heavy and they have bad knees. Well, you have bad knees because you're a little bit heavy. So
Right.
maybe if you lose a little bit of weight, maybe we can take care of that part of it and then start seeing how your knees feel after that.
Sure.
Like I also go to a chiropractor, and
Hmm.
I went today. My chiropractor is in 2006. You probably remember because I think we were towards the end of our playing at that. But I hurt my back severe. I don't know if you remember.
Oh yeah.
I was doing some gigs and you guys had to bring all the
Right. To
equipment in.
help you. Yeah.
Um, but I hurt my back severely, and the doctor was one of the doctors said I might need surgery, and then a specialist said I didn't. So, but I went to a chiropractor and I did therapy back then, physical therapy for 3 years, and didn't really do much. It was really just trying to strengthen the muscle around the back, which I get, which you have to do, but it wasn't really releasing the pressures that my
Right.
back was sitting on, on
Exactly.
the joints.
Exactly.
And now I go there, and I've been going there for about a year, about a year and a half. It's like a completely different body. Like even when I work out now, I get like just better blood flow through
Yeah.
my
It makes
body.
a difference.
Where
Yeah. Hmm.
it makes a huge difference because there's blood flowing. Everything is like loose. Everything is connected. All the
Right.
nerves that go to certain body parts have been opened up, and the
Absolutely.
nerves are clear. That's through chiropractic. But again, that's another thing that people are, doctors and sometimes chiropractors are like.
Hmm.
Um,
Definitely.
but again, you try whatever is for whatever is best for you. But yeah, so functional medicine is definitely something. Now we're in a weird situation right now, right? Because for the first time in the history of this planet, everyone is told that you have to stay home, which you have. We're not going to get into the what side we're on. Should we stay home? Should we go out? Some people are like, no, stay home. You're all gonna die. And other people are like, man, I don't care. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna lick doorknobs. Like there's two sides to the craziness. I
I did
think
that last
we
week.
have to. Yeah, really good week. So I was like thinking to myself, okay, so now people are home. What exactly do you recommend? Um, to strengthen. We all know that the immune system is really what fights off viruses and illnesses and all that stuff, right? So it comes down always to the immune system.
Yes.
We're constantly fighting stuff. People don't even realize that our bodies are constantly fighting viruses and all this stuff. And there's bacteria in our body, good bacteria that ends up fights. You know what I mean? And it's a constant battle to just so our immune system has to be strong, and that's probably what happened to you when you started adding those supplements. Your
Correct.
immune system got stronger, so you started getting less bronchitis and less
Right.
asthma, and all
Hmm.
that stuff. 'Cause I remember every year you had was it not asthma allergies
Hay fever. Yeah.
like yeah, hay fever. You had like really bad hay
Really
fever,
bad. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I remember, and so what do you recommend during this time? I know that it's a difficult question to answer straight out, but do you have any tips or anything that people can actually try out?
Well, absolutely. First of all, there's, even before you get into the supplements, even before you get into the food and these types of things, there's things that you need to do that automatically help the immune system. And one of the things, I mean, think about this. What is one of the one things that suppresses immunity in general? Okay, and that is stress. Right? Stress is a huge immune suppressor. And we're all going through stress right now, right? People are losing jobs and people are fearful, right? So what happens? We turn on the TV and all we hear about is, unfortunately, we hear death. We hear, people losing jobs. We hear all this horrible stuff that's happening out there. It's just this constant fear. I mean, people were running grabbing toilet paper, grabbing all these things, and
Yeah.
because they're literally thinking this is the apocalypse, right? So what I'm saying is, and I've been guilty of it in the past as well, is first of all, if you're sitting there watching TV and you're sitting there watching CNN, constantly negative news, and you're constantly having this in your brain, right there, you are suppressing immunity because if you get that anxious, that anxiety from, oh my God, I can't walk out the door because I may get this, cortisol is released. Okay. Cortisol is that stress hormone, the fight or flight, right? So that in and of itself suppresses immune system. It actually takes energy away from the immune system's ability to heal. Okay? And this is
Wow.
why a lot of people, when they get sick, they realize that they did have a stressful event before, was because that virus was in there and it was waiting to attack, and that was the time for it to go, right? So my first tip would be turn off the TV. Yes,
Yeah.
we want to be informed, but we don't want to be inundated. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
so that to me, that's tip number one,
That's
automatically.
actually huge. I think, yeah, you're right. And um, stress is, and I mean, suicide deaths are up. Unfortunately, it's just such a tragic time right now. People are, you know, the fear is almost sometimes killing as many people as the virus is, and it's a sad situation. But yeah, stress, TV. I don't, you know, you have to be informed, like you said, but I don't. The information inform. I have to be informed. I don't know if I'm being informed by when I watch anything on the news. You know what I mean? I don't
Right,
feel like I'm being informed. I feel like I'm being guided,
right.
being led into a thing. And I don't feel like that's informed. I inform myself by reading things, by going
Mhm.
to other smaller sites that
Right.
are focused on certain issues
Sure.
rather than actually the big conglomerate. So I think that if you want to be informed, find another way to be informed
Yes.
that doesn't stress you out, because knowing the truth, right? If you know the truth and if you are confident with the truth, then it really, you can the adverse effect of it, because you kind of
Correct.
you have that data. If you don't
Correct.
have the data, that's where it gets scary. And if you're watching the
Exactly.
news and if you're watching different networks, they all have different data. They all have different. They
Sure.
all going. So you're right. Turning off the news is a big thing.
Yeah,
Big
that's
thing.
that's that's huge. And yeah, and again, and I completely agree with you about the information part of it. I mean, yes, we want to know when our region is going to open up again and when the stores are going to open up again, those type of things.
Those kind of
But
things. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the normal stuff. But again, sitting there like I have in-laws that have the news on 20, almost 24/7. I mean, that's just
Oh God.
constant. And then it's in Spanish, so it's the whole. And they're a bit more dramatic on that end.
What a Yeah,
You
isn't
know,
it true that the
it's very
Spanish
dramatic.
channel like way more dramatic, right? And
Yeah.
you couldn't even
So
believe it because the CNN and Fox and all these networks are so dramatic themselves.
exactly.
Spanish channel is like, and it's in Spanish and fast.
Yeah.
Ahora
Yeah.
tenemos que no me lo puedes creer, que no puedes estar ahora. Sabro gigante.
Exactly. So yeah, and the other thing that you said, as far as the immune system, and you're absolutely right. The the one thing the only thing that can get rid of these viruses is the immune system. And people have a hard time with that concept because again, they hear about the vaccine that's supposed to come out at some point. They hear about the hydroxychloroquine that's going to be for this or for that and those types of things, and everything is external, right? Everything is constant from the outside. It's pharmaceutical to whatever the case may be. People don't realize the power that they have in boosting their immune system in a time like this. Okay,
Mhm.
because the virus, what does it do? It preys on the weak. It preys on people with heart problems, diabetes, people with compromised immune systems. So, the immune system has been around since man walked on this planet, right? Viruses have been around since man walked on this planet. Okay, we somehow got through it all, and here we are. So, boosting that immunity and taking responsibility for your own immunity and for your own health in general is key. Not leaving it in the hands of the government, not leaving it in the hands of the pharmaceuticals and those types of things, because Even if you get a flu vaccine, how effective it's going to be if the virus mutates, right? Maybe 50, 60% at best. Okay, the flu shot is the
Right.
same way. So you want to keep that immune system boosted, and take responsibility that way. So there's a few things that you can do and that I recommend. And anything I say is not is are things that I do on a regular basis. Okay, that and what I've done throughout the years that have completely changed my life. Okay, and obviously another thing you need to do is to lower the sugar intake. That's a huge one right there. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, why? Because sugar depresses immunity, right?
Right.
So it actually blinds your helper cells. It blinds all your immune cells. Okay, and it blinds them for a while. It's not just like right away. It blinds them for a few hours. Okay,
Wow.
so I recommend not and my daughter knows if she gets sick, sugar is out. Okay, it's just not going to
Right.
happen. So bringing that down is absolutely key. All right, big one there.
Yeah. I need help with that.
Yeah. Well, listen, we all do, right? We all want that sweet, little sweetness, whether it's after dinner. And there's nothing wrong with having a little one here and there. I'm not saying
Yeah.
never have it. I'm just saying that, people are so,
Yeah.
people are having it 3 meals a day.
Well, it's an addiction too.
It is an addiction. Yeah. It
It's an
works on
addiction. I
that
mean,
center
I
of the
don't know.
brain.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if last year, in January of last year, I did a 90-day cleanse, sugar cleanse, where I
Right.
went live every single day for 90 days without any sugar at all, at all, at all. And the first 3 weeks, I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
first 3 weeks, my body was like changing. And then at one point, I started getting red blotches on my body, like these itchy blotches.
Right.
And I had to like run. I had to run to like jump in the shower, and I was like in the shower, and it was itchy, and it was all these red blotches. I have to this day I have no idea what the hell that was, but the only different thing that I did was that I stopped eating sugar, so I was
Yep.
almost detoxing. It was
Right.
just
That's
coming out of my
exactly what it
system.
was.
I was detox,
Hmm. Hmm.
and but anyway, I was sugar is a huge thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's yeah. It's I mean, again, it's an issue that I had, especially when I was younger. You were there when I used to eat a lot of junk.
Yeah, a lot of those ho hos
Yeah, a lot of
or
those what was it, Twinkies and yodels and
yodels. That's what I was thinking.
funny bones. Oh my God.
Oh man,
Okay, but nothing's better than Nutter Butters. All right, Nutter Butters. Come on.
no, Nutter Butters. That's right. We used to get the big thing of Nutter Butters and just sit there and just like
Yes,
with
yes,
coffee. Uh, I'll go get some. Just kidding.
yes. So yes, sugar is another one. Now I can tell you one of the things that changed my life besides that was, and it'll sound cliche, it'll sound kind of weird, but it was the vitamin C. And people don't realize how valuable vitamin C is. Okay,
Yeah.
and I'm not talking about, people when people hear about vitamin C, they think of the glass of orange juice, right? They think of maybe getting it in an orange, getting it whatever. But it's so much more than that, because I realized that I was actually deficient in vitamin C because I started having symptoms of scurvy.
Wow.
And I kind of, as I put on my detective hat and I kind of figured it out. And once I started a vitamin C regimen, everything completely stopped, changed. It just, and I was shocked at how things changed for me. And I kid you not, ever since I started that, I don't get I don't get anything. I
Wow.
mean, even when my immune system was, when I was boosting my immune system before that, I would get a cold here or there, but it would come and go. Now I don't get anything. And
Wow.
this is going on years now.
That's
So
crazy.
I was blown away.
Wow.
And so I And this is what I do now. Again, just to go a little bit more on vitamin C, because it's probably my number one nutrient. Okay, it's just been
Yeah.
so valuable. Vitamin C um, basically is part of your frontline immune system. Okay, it is the first thing. Like when you have inflammation in your body, the first thing that gets there, your immune system cells, is the monocyte, which is an a cell of the immune system. In that, there's about 80% of the vitamin C in your body is in that cell, and
Oh,
it's there to bring down the inflammation. So the issue is that if you're not taking enough vitamin C, because vitamin C is water soluble, so it comes out in the bathroom, right? If you're not taking enough, especially when you have inflammation, especially when you're sick, your body depletes it very quickly to deal with the inflammation. Okay,
uh,
so your tolerance for vitamin C goes way up. So I take, just for as an example, and again, everybody's different, but I take 6 grams of vitamin C a day. Okay, that's
wow.
6,000 milligrams,
Oh,
and I take it in divided doses, right? And the reason why you want to do that, if someone's interested in keeping their immune system boosted, the reason why you want to do that is called dynamic flow. Basically, what it means is you want to keep your vitamin C high throughout the day, because your body uses it, and then a couple of hours later, it comes out and it goes back down to baseline. So
mhm.
what you want to do is to keep it up on a regular basis, to let your body constantly use, and if you're sick, you need way more.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's unbelievable what it does.
Now let me ask you about vitamin C for a second. When you take vitamin C, you can't, there's stuff that I've seen that I know they're not quality vitamin C's. I
Right,
mean, it's not something that, I don't know, like Flintstones chewable vitamin C's. Like, I don't know how good those are for the kids. Yeah, the kids like it
right,
because they taste like candy, but
right,
I don't know if that's really legitimate. Orange juice. You drink orange juice, it's not enough. Again, you drink it, it goes right, and you pee it out. Maybe as much vitamin C in it.
right.
Um, what's the best form to actually take vitamin C? Is it a liquid form? Is it
There's so many different forms. Okay, the basic form is ascorbic acid. Okay, so when you look at, let's just say, for example, you go to a health food store, you look at you look at the bottle, and it says ascorbic acid. It'll be maybe 500 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams or something like that. Okay, that's like the most popular form, and it's some people, some of the health food purists will say, oh, don't take that form because it's synthetic. But I'm going to tell you, if I'm sick, that's the form I'm going to take, because I
right?
guarantee you that the food I'm eating is not going to have enough vitamin C to deal with my illness, right?
Right.
So ascorbic acid is the basic one, but there's other forms as well. Okay, there is and just so you know, and we could do a whole hour on vitamin C,
Right.
but the what happens with ascorbic acid is, when you take it, you have what's called bowel tolerance. Okay, so someone who, let's say, take a massive amount of vitamin C. Let's just say, for example, they're taking 10 grams of vitamin C. Eventually, at some point, depending on your body, you'll get a laxative effect. That
Hmm.
laxative effect is basically what's called bowel tolerance. It's telling you that you have enough vitamin C at that point. So you back off. Okay, that's pretty much the
Right.
worst that could happen when you take lots of vitamin C. When you get sick, though, that bowel tolerance goes way up, so you can take a lot more. Okay,
Okay.
but the ascorbic acid regular tablets, now some people have issues with digesting it, because some people are a little more sensitive to it. Okay,
Right.
so if you are sensitive to it, then the next thing you could look at is a buffered form of ascorbic acid, which they have, and it has a buffered around it. So basically, when it goes through the system, it doesn't irritate the gut. Okay, and you can take
Okay.
that. So that's, for sensitive individuals, you can take those. Now, just so when you take vitamin C, you're going to absorb, depending on how much you take, you're probably going to absorb 50%, 60%, 70%.
Oh.
But that's kind of how it works. Okay. Then there's other forms. there's more expensive form. There is a form called liposomal vitamin C, which is a form that it's more of a liquid form, and it's protected by a bilayer of fat. And when you take it in, it actually passes through the digestive system without causing any problems. And it actually goes right into the cell without having to deal with digestion. So
Mm.
literally 100% of that vitamin C is absorbed. So if
Oh,
you get
wow.
1,000 milligrams, you're pretty much digesting, you're getting in there 1,000 milligrams. The only
Right.
thing with that is that it's a lot more expensive than the what you would get at the health food store and stuff like that.
Right. Right.
And then the biggie is you can actually get vitamin C through intravenous if you have a doctor that does that type of thing, which mine does. And this is when you're getting into big time illnesses, but
Right.
even something like COVID-19 or something like that, if you have a doctor that can do that, because that again that passes right into the bloodstream. You don't have to worry about digestion, and you can get massive amounts of vitamin C in one shot.
Mm.
Again, you have to work with a doctor in doing those types of things,
Right.
but at the end of the day, everybody's body's different. So I can't tell you, this is exactly what you should take, but I know, 6 grams a day for me works perfectly. And that's kind of my sweet spot when I'm
Yeah.
healthy, so, but again, it's different for everyone.
So, so obviously, somebody would reach out to you. You would actually assess them as far as their health. What would be some of the questions that you would ask someone who reaches out to you and says, listen, man, I'm not feeling well. I'm tired all the time. I'm depressed. I'm gaining weight or whatever. Like what are some of the preliminary questions that you would ask somebody like that?
Well, the first thing I do is if I'm working with somebody, I take a complete history on them. I want to know everything about them. I want to know what they eat, morning, noon, and night. I want to know their background, their history, I want to know, their parents' history. I want to know what medications they're on.
Mhm.
I literally go through a whole checklist of things. And the reason why I do that is because, and again, these are things that nutritionists will do, because again, you go to a doctor's office, you kind of fill something out really quick, and that's pretty much it. They glance at it and move forward. But
Right.
I want to see what this person is doing that I can automatically help them with right off the bat. And I
Right.
can spot pretty well now what some things that people are doing. If they're being completely honest, I
Right.
can spot things that I can change right off the bat. And here's the thing about it, changing things for people is not always easy, obviously, because so
Right.
I don't ask them to change massive things. I ask them
Mm.
to change small things. Give up
An ingredient.
something,
Yeah.
yeah, give up something, one thing this week and then one thing next week. Let's
Got it.
experiment. Let's see how you feel. Let's take this supplement and see if it, and we kind of go from there,
Yeah.
and many follow-ups, obviously, and see what's working. And again, it's not a one size fits all, because everybody comes to me with a different body chemistry. Everybody comes to me with a different background. So I have to take each person individually and tailor it to that person.
Right.
So, that's generally what I do with people when they first come to me.
Now, do you add working out? Like, do you suggest working out, or do
Yes,
you put
that
that
that's
in there as
part
well?
that's part of the history. Again, depending on what they do. Now, if I speak with somebody who hasn't worked out in 20 years, then obviously they're going to be in a they're not going to be in a position to really start doing some strenuous stuff. So
Right.
we're going to start with something light. I'm going to recommend 20-minute,
Walk.
30-minute walk, right?
Right.
As simple as you can, as simple as you get, right?
Sure.
And
Right.
we're going to start doing that every day or every week, and go from there. And I've had people who've had very bad knees, come to me, and they even have a hard time walking, and I say,
Yeah.
listen, there's always a way to exercise. I mean, my mother has this chair that you can sit down on that has bands attached to it, and she can actually work out sitting down
Oh,
on the chair watching TV and do her workout. I mean, brilliant. Whoever invented it is brilliant.
yeah,
But simple things like that. But getting the blood, pumping, the blood flowing. That's what you want to do. That's how it starts. Getting that
right,
blood flowing. So that's what I do. And then if I work with somebody who's got more of a really good fitness background, then we'll just tailor it to what they're doing and see what they're doing and try to improve on it. But
right,
it's definitely important.
yeah. So what do you do if someone is like addicted to Entenmann's donuts? How do you? Let's say they. I'm just
I
kidding.
hang up on
Yeah. Um. So my family. Let's talk a little bit about diabetes. I want to
Sure.
talk a little bit about that because my family all had diabetes.
Right.
You knew my whole family.
Right.
My grandma had diabetes. My grandpa had diabetes. My mom died from complications with diabetes. Um, every, everyone pretty much had diabetes at some point in my immediate family.
Right.
If we had a fish, the fish had diabetes. If we had a puppy, the puppy had the cat. It was just all over the place. And you know, 9 years ago, I think it was nine. It was before we moved here to Bayonne, and I've been here 8 years now. So, about 9 years ago, when I was still in Sunnyside, Queens, I was diagnosed with pre-diabetic.
Right.
Like I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you're pre-diabetic, and he was it. That's how he spoke. So, his name was Ramses Fakari. I always mention his name because I chose him because of his name.
That's a cool name.
It is a cool name, right?
It is
I
very cool
opened
name.
the
Yeah.
book. I opened the book, and it was at the health, one of those books where the insurance company gives you. And
Right.
Pamela brought it to me from I think it was from her job or my job, or no, we worked in the same place. So and she's like, pick a doctor, and I was like, I don't. And I was just like, so I'm like looking, I'm looking. I saw Ramses Fakari. Ramses Fakari. I was like, that's my doctor, and she was like, you can't just pick a doctor from the name. I was like, yes, I can,
Yeah. That's
and I
absolutely
did, and he turned out great. But
good.
anyway, he checked me out, and I was pre-diabetic, and I asked him, I was like, maybe I could change my diet or something, and he was like, oh, then, it runs in your family, and maybe I don't know. So I was like, well, I'm gonna change my diet, and I went, and that's what I did. I mean, I went pretty hardcore for years, where I wouldn't have sugar whatsoever. I
Right.
wouldn't eat, and within like 8 months to 2 years, within that period of time, I actually forgot about that I was feeling a little bit sluggish. I actually just it just went away. I just didn't. And when I went back, nothing, no diabetes, not one thing, and I haven't had anything until earlier last year. I was just feeling sluggish. I wasn't
Hmm.
like really messed up, but I was feeling sluggish, and I decided to do that 90-day
Right.
sugar cleanse. But to me, that was all the proof I needed. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? That was all the proof I needed. Just give up crap, and the crab tastes good. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I mean? I had a donut yesterday. I'm not gonna
Right.
lie. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I enjoyed it.
Right.
But I didn't have 5 donuts. You
Right.
know what I mean? And it's like drinking alcohol. Like I don't drink, right? I had a earlier this year. I think I had a glass of wine somewhere, and last year I didn't drink at all last year. Like I just forgot. It just
Hmm.
doesn't come to my mind. But you know these kind of things are pleasurable, and I get it, and that's the hardest thing that you're dealing with,
Right.
in my opinion. Even in your business, is the hardest thing is that motivation of stopping to do it. I had somebody tell me straight out, oh no, I can't give up bread.
Oh yeah.
And we were just having a conversation, and I was just like, well, I stopped eating bread, and I stopped eating the oh no, 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 bread, no, you kidding me? I can't stop eating bread. So when they have that attitude, you know what I mean, like, no way, now you got to work around
Correct.
you got to work
You-
around that, you know what I mean. And with
Correct.
diabetes, it's not a joke, man. You start losing limbs, you start going blind. So what are your thoughts on that, dealing with
Well,
that type?
first of all, when I sit down with somebody, and I didn't do this in the beginning, and it's interesting because you kind of get into this industry thinking you're going to help people and everybody's going to be receptive. and then you quickly learn how difficult it is.
Yeah.
So
It's
I got
almost
to the,
like psychology in a sense.
it's the whole psychological aspect to it. But I, I got to the point where I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. When I sit down with somebody immediately in the beginning, I tell them straight out, I say, we are going to work on this for at least a year. Okay. If it's a serious issue that we're dealing with, or we have to really, there's a lot of things we have to change. 6 months to a year. If you cannot commit to me for 6 months to a year, then let's stop right now. Okay. Because I know that I can sit with somebody for an hour and give them some advice on what to take and what to do and that type of thing. And they'll be happy and they'll go on their merry way. And it'll last maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And then what happens that brain goes right back into default, right? And it just goes, oh, you know what? I'll start there. I'll start there. This is not going to hurt. This is not good. And they go right back. And before you know it, they've blown up again, right?
Right.
So, and again, I was guilty of it in the past as well. So that's the first thing, dealing with those type of personalities. If you cannot come, and I'm very upfront. I say you're going to spend some money when it comes to supplements. You're going to spend some money when it comes to buying better food, maybe cooking at home more than going out constantly, right? But at the end of the day, you're taking responsibility for your health. Maybe you'll go to
Yeah.
the
And
doctor less.
how much is your health worth? You know what I mean?
Exactly,
Like,
exactly. To me, if that's your health. If you don't have that, you don't have anything, right? So at the end of the day, you have to look long term when it comes to that. All right. So that's one of the things I do when I deal with people who have that attitude. I'm very, very upfront because and at the end of the day, and if you're not going to listen to me because I'm the guy that has the credentials, then okay, that's fine. And go find somebody else or watch TV, sit down and watch TV. But that because I'm obviously not going to help you. Okay. Because there
right.
has to be an element of helping yourself, right? So,
Right.
and talking about diabetes is a tricky thing because my wife's family was rampant with diabetes as well. Okay, she had
Yeah.
a sister that passed away from it. She had a brother that passed away from it. Okay, and her mother has it. Her father has it. Right.
Wow.
My wife and her brother are the only ones that don't have it in that immediate family. Okay. Now, just a little thing. One thing with all these diseases, even diabetes and heart disease, you have to understand that the body needs raw materials. The body needs raw materials in order to run. Okay. And these raw materials are vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids. Those are the raw materials that the body needs. If you don't have those raw materials, it's only a matter of time before something breaks, before the blood sugar goes out of control, before the blood pressure goes out of control. Okay. So and you think about it, most people start out with half a glass. When I kind of use the analogy of having a full glass of water, that's all your raw materials, right? But when you go out into life, there's stress, there's sickness, there's all these things. It starts to deplete those materials, right? So you end up coming home with half a glass. Well, your job is to put those raw materials back in and top that glass off again. Because if you
Mm,
don't do that, your body is working with a deficit. Okay.
right.
So, for example, diabetes, I can tell you right now two things, and just a little advice. There are two things that work with diabetes. Okay, and one of them is chromium,
Mm,
and one of them is vanadium. Okay, these are two things that these are two nutrients that the body needs in order to process blood sugar and insulin. If you're lacking in those, okay, it's pretty much so assured that at some point you're going to become pre-diabetic or diabetic. Okay,
right.
combined with obviously lifestyle. It's not diabetes is not just about eating sugar. Okay, that could have a lot to do with it, but it's not just about that. It's also
Right.
having the raw materials to be able to metabolize that sugar in the
Right.
right way. It's also being able to exercise because why? Exercise is what helps your body use that sugar for fuel,
Right.
right? So brings down the sugar. So These are those things that help with that. And again, nutritionists know these things. I mean, you can give me 20 illnesses, and I could tell you pretty well. Actually, put it this way: I can get a list of illnesses that a person has, and I could tell you pretty much everything they're deficient in.
Mm.
And I could pretty much, for the most part, spot on look at their blood work and say, yeah, you were deficient in this, you were deficient in that. Okay, so raw materials and those nutrients are absolutely essential to running your body every single day. If you don't have
Mm.
it, it's just a matter of time.
So where do you get the chromium and Canadian? No, what was the other one?
Chromium and vanadium.
Vanadium.
Um, yeah,
I used
typically
to dance at the Palladium. I don't know if you remember back in. No, I'm sorry. What,
that was a great
say the
place,
second one.
Palladium. Vanadium.
Okay, Vanadium.
Vanadium.
I'll
Yes.
I'll put those down in the description. You send me the
Sure.
actual spelling so I can.
Yes. So typically, most good multivitamins will have chromium and vanadium in them. Okay. So just having something as simple as a multivitamin that's good, okay, and not all multivitamins are all the same, is going to help. If you're somebody who's dealing with diabetes, you may need a little bit more than what's in the multivitamin, so you may take a little extra. But you can typically find them in a good multivitamin. Um, and sometimes you'll have a complex. They will sell a complex of chromium, vanadium, cinnamon is another one that helps with blood sugar. Very, very good for blood
Mm.
sugar. There's another thing called bitter melon that's very good for blood sugar as well. And sometimes they'll have a complex of all those in one that you can take. And again, you take that along with your diet and your exercise. And honestly, to be honest, blood sugar is actually one of the easiest things to fix if you're really focused on fixing it.
Wow, isn't that
Yeah,
interesting? It's
yeah,
like such a, you talk about a pandemic. You see how many people die a year of from diabetes and heart disease, and I mean, let's put cancer aside, right? Because
right,
cancer is the big one.
right,
But you talk about those kind of things as being like so crazy that we could easily correct those things with
yeah,
just a few supplements. And I love the analogy of the glass, because you know I work a lot, right? I work 18 hours. Well, now I think I work more hours that I'm home,
right,
but because
right,
I got the kids. But generally for like work, I got my real estate, I got my Jav project, my films, and all that stuff. I'm going from 6:30 in the morning, sometimes like midnight, 1 o'clock, and I'm going. So, and at the end of the day, that glass is, it's been beaten up, and I
yes,
come home with like a little puddle under the, in my cup.
right,
So replenishing that is like really, really a great analogy on a daily basis. And then you mentioned
correct,
something earlier that I thought was really important: responsibility.
correct,
Like, you, no one is going to get you healthy.
exactly,
Even a doctor, your doctors aren't going to get you healthy. That they're going to try to treat you as best as they can. Their intention is to get you well, but it is always going to fall down on you, your
absolutely,
responsibility on your own body and stuff. So that's really
absolutely,
important. Now,
yes,
let's talk a bit about when you were, the supplements, because
right,
you said a multivitamin, and I honestly I don't take anything, and here's one of the reasons why I stopped. I used to take stuff all the time.
sure,
You and I used to always go around looking for like different amino acids. Hey,
right,
this one makes your muscle bigger.
right,
And but I don't take anything, and one of the reasons is because I sometimes get a little bit sick from
hmm
the like. I
right,
would take something and I feel it didn't do me well. It almost made me sicker. So
hmm
it could be a combination of like what I took and what I
hmm
ate earlier and
sure,
the time I took it, and it could be a whole bunch of other different things. But a multivitamin, that to me is something that I would take because
right,
it just says it all in the name. A multivitamin. I like to multitask. I like to, I like the word multi. And so a multivitamin, like really multimedia. I like all that stuff. So What did you do? You have a suggestion? I know you have also you have a product line, don't you?
Correct. I have well, I work with a company, and because I'm a healthcare practitioner, I have access to supplements that a lot of people don't have access to. Because a lot of the companies that I work with sell directly to nutritionists and doctors, and it's specifically for their patients or clients, or
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So so I have access to a lot of those companies because of that. Now, so I don't, you know, I don't get my supplements from Costco or Walmart or anything like that. And I never
You
recommend
don't go to
anybody.
GNC with the
Yeah, I don't,
50% off?
exactly. I don't do that. No. So again, I work with these companies, and I get supplements. So um, now, and it's interesting because there are some people that are sensitive to certain ingredients. Okay, and there are ingredients like, for example, there are people that are sensitive to manganese and copper and these type of minerals. And if they take them in higher quantities, they actually get stomach upset.
Yeah,
And
I
those,
can't have zinc.
yeah, zinc for, yeah, that's another one that is an issue. Now, but now here's the thing: zinc and manganese and copper are essential nutrients to have. Your body does need them. Your body, these are part of the raw materials that you need. But
Right.
what the amount that you need will probably be less than, for example, the amount that I would need. Okay, so
I see.
um, the company that I work with now, they actually manufacture, and the reason why I like them a lot is because they manufacture a line that is for specifically for sensitive people. So the supplements
Oh, okay.
that I recommend are for people, that they have different ones. They have ones that have taken out a few ingredients because of sensitive people, and they have ones that are more normal. So I have the option of giving it, of giving either or. So it's
Okay.
very important. And keep in mind when we talk about a multivitamin, okay, a vitamin is not there to replace anything. Okay, a vitamin is it's a multivitamin is not there and it's going to cure the world, and okay, it's everything's all roses. Okay,
That's why it's a supplement,
it's a
right? Yeah.
supplement. Exactly, a
Right.
supplement is exactly that. It's to supplement what you're not getting in your diet. Okay, so
Right.
we all know that unfortunately you cannot get all the nutrients from your diet these days because it's just not possible. The way the soils are, the way the soil, with all the stuff that's going on with the soils and Monsanto and all the stuff that's sprayed on the soils, it kills half of that stuff. So by the
Yeah.
time you get it, by the time it gets to your house, by the time it's cooked, okay, you're really not getting anything. And let's not talk about if your gut is in good shape or not to actually absorb it to begin with.
Right.
So the multivitamin is an insurance policy. So you can make sure that you have those raw materials for your body to work with every single day to deal with the stresses of life. That's what
Yeah.
that's for. Okay, and that's why I talk about the raw materials.
Okay. That's awesome. So the does that company have a multivitamin?
Correct. They have a my favorite multivitamin from them is called Pure Response multivitamin, and I'll give the website a little bit towards the end here, and you can, anyone who's interested can take a look at it. It's an
Yeah.
excellent multivitamin because again it's for sensitive people, but it's also a vitamin that helps, and it's actually a vitamin that would help in these times because it has a little extra to boost immunity.
Oh,
So it's very good. Has a lot of vitamin D, and I know we haven't even touched on things like vitamin D,
I know.
which is the other thing that people should be. And by the way, there was just a news report the other day that now they're linking low vitamin D to people who get COVID. Well, that's a shock, isn't it? But
Right.
but that's another thing that's in there in a very good quantity.
Yeah. So vitamin D, is it true that you can only get vitamin D from the sun at its best, like the best kind? Is it D?
The best way to get vitamin, well, there's three ways to get vitamin D really, but you can get it from your food, but it's in very, very tiny amounts. Okay, like if you drink milk, you'll get some, because a lot of the milk is fortified with it and that type of thing. Certain foods have it, cheeses have it, and this type of things. But again, it's a different form of vitamin D, and so you don't really get in a lot of good amounts. Okay, you can supplement with it, which is which is much better. Okay, we supplement, my family supplements in the winter. We take 5,000 units of vitamin D a day. Okay, and it brings it up to a very, very good amount. But
Mhm.
and then the big way, obviously, is you go out in the sun. Okay, and the reason why, you have to remember, the vitamin D is a hormone, and it's a hormone made in your liver, and it's made because of your body's response to the sun. So it's made when the sun hits your skin, and vitamin D starts to form vitamin D, and it starts to bring your levels up. So 30 minutes in the sun at least is good. And we all hear about, of course, the sun's going to kill you, it's going to give you cancer and all that type of thing. But I always recommend, and here's a good tip for folks who want, especially in the summertime, if you're concerned about sun exposure, go outside for 30 minutes without any lotion or anything like that. After, get 30 minutes of vitamin D. And then after you get that, then put the lotion on. Okay.
Mhm.
Because what happens is, if you put all that lotion on, it actually, you don't get the vitamin D that you're supposed to, because it blocks
Right.
it. And
That's what it blocks it.
people like me, us Hispanics and
Right.
African Americans, actually make less vitamin D because of our skin pigment.
Right.
So
We
we
eat it
need
up.
more. Correct.
Yeah.
And in the winter, we're not outside. Obviously, we're indoors, have coats on, all that stuff. So we don't really get a lot. So supplementing in the winter is key. But
Yeah.
those are the main ways to get vitamin D in your system to at least good amounts. And then obviously get your vitamin D tested when you go to the doctor, because that's a normal test that they give you.
Yeah. So do you those you said that vitamin, I'm interested now in that company that supplements you and
Pure
doctors and stuff.
encapsulations.
What's it called?
Pure encapsulations.
Okay, so can anybody order from there, or is that
Yes,
something
they
that
can.
they
They
need
can.
to?
Yeah. If somebody's interested, they can go to my site. It's my company is platinumnutritionals.com. Okay.
Okay, I'll put it in
Or
the description if anybody wants it. I'll put it down there. I'm gonna
absolutely.
go to it myself because I am gonna get a multivitamin because I do need something, especially
Yeah.
going in now because I don't know when this lockdown is gonna be over, but
Right.
I want to make sure that I am protected and that
Absolutely.
my immune system is stronger. You kind of motivate me a lot today with your knowledge. I'm kind of blown away actually by how much you know. It's really impressive. So I'm really grateful that you're here to share that.
Well,
Um,
I'm
one
happy to
of
be here.
Yeah, man, it's awesome, man. I'm like blown away by this, but I'm inspired again because I've fallen into like, and not a knock on, well, maybe it is, and I don't, it's not my intention to be, but I haven't met many people that are really into fitness
Right.
unless they work in fitness. And I've met
Right.
a lot of people who work in fitness. As a matter of fact, next week I have a guy here who owns a gym here. His name is Mike Stanlaw. He's
Right.
fantastic, local guy, wonderful gym. And so I'm excited to have him on, but I'm not close friends with him, so I don't have a close person that can, like you and I used to motivate each other, and
Right.
we get our belts, tag up our weightlifting belts, and we'd lift, walk outside with our tank tops, you know.
I remember those days.
uh, Remember those days,
Oh yeah.
and
They used
yeah,
to ask me if I. They used to ask me if I had a license for those guns.
yeah. I remember. Was that blind guy asked you that, right?
Yeah. Very good. Good one. I was waiting for that.
So so I'm not surrounded by it. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I
Right.
tend to fall off, and I need to get back on and get. And accountability is really the key factor. Really,
Yes.
it's like I'm pretty good self motivated, but when it comes
Yeah.
to like with balancing everything right now though, now it's different. I do go to a gym. I have a gym that I go to. It's closed now,
Right.
so it's that I go to. It's just one of those things where I'm really inspired right now by everything, and
Good.
want to get that multivitamin, and I'm probably gonna
Good.
get some. I know I'm gonna go look at the site, and I'll just get a bunch of stuff from there because
Absolutely.
I need to get back in shape. Last summer I did that sugar cleanse,
Hmm.
and then I started working out. And last summer I looked really good. It was I think it
Nice.
was like the best summer physically looking. Like I
Really?
was, yeah, I was cut, and there was some. I was shooting a music video, directing a music video, and on set, and there's photos of me, like somebody put photos of me and stuff, and I'm looking at them, and I was like, damn, I was like, I look good. I was like, I was like, me gusta Johnny. So, but then the winter came, and the winter you get a little bit
Right.
chunky and stuff, and then now this COVID thing. So now I've been home and haven't been really going to the gym and all. So I have to kind of like, and I have stuff here. I got my whole little gym stuff here to work out, and so I'm gonna start getting motivated. I'm really excited about that.
Good.
So we're just about wrapping up. I wanted to
Okay.
actually just ask you just your final thoughts, your final pieces of advice to people that are home. They've been home for now going on over 2 months now. It looks like it's going to be at least another 2 months or a month and a half, whatever it is,
Right.
depending on where you live. What are your pieces of advice to people that are home? Besides obviously the immune system stuff, but go.
Well, I mean, listen, I mean, it's a tough situation for everybody, obviously, and my thing would be to use this time, okay, because obviously, especially if you're working from home, or unfortunately some people are not working, and yes, it's stressful, but use this time, number one, to reflect on things. Use this time to be with family, obviously, and help each other, and be close, but also use this time to think about things, and think about your health. Think about what you can do to improve it. Think about the future, because this is not the last pandemic that we're going to have. Okay, I'm sure we're going to have more down the line. How many viruses have we dealt with in the past? SARS and Ebola and all these other things, right? So, this could be a wake up call for some people. So what I would say is just think about it, and those of you who have issues, underlying issues, heart disease, diabetes, whatever it is, think about ways to get yourself healthy. Where down the line, if something like this happens again, you're in a better position to beat this if you do get it, and if you're a better position to help other people beat this with what you did. Okay, and we can pass this information around, and get it out there, because the more immunity we get boosted in this society, the better we're going to be.
Yeah. Perfect, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I think what you said, reflect, man. This is a very interesting time where the planet is kind of getting start. Our air is clean now, cleaner than it's been
Right.
in 100 years, I think.
Right.
The waters of Venice are clear, for the first time in like 100 years. They didn't even know
Right.
there were fish down there.
Right. It's a reset.
Um, what was that?
It's a reset.
It's a reset completely,
Yeah,
and
it is.
during that reset, like as we talk here with a lot of the people that I've been talking to in the last month, it's really a time for people to figure out where they want their life to go after
Exactly.
this, because it's a different world. The world is going to be different. We know that now. This has never happened in the history of the planet, or in the history of humans being on the planet. And it's like you said, it's not going to happen again. I mean, we pandemic. I mean, the way we responded to this was a little bit different
Right.
than anything else. But you're right. We've had a lot of different viruses that haven't really created this type of situation. In 1969, there was a huge pandemic virus on here, and
Right.
it killed 100,000 people in America, and I think it killed like a couple million worldwide. And it was during the time that Woodstock happened. So
Yeah. Look at that. Look at
yeah, it's
that.
like, so I was like, wait, what? But yeah, that was kind of a crazy thing. I just read about that. I was like, wait, what?
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
so this is a little bit different.
Right.
And stress is high, and I think
Right.
reflecting on what we want and
Hmm.
how we want our lives to be different, and
Correct.
really focus on getting better, I think is really a key factor. So I think a lot of people are doing that, and it's wonderful that that you took the time to come here today. I really appreciate you. Um,
Absolutely. It was my
you're
pleasure.
my cousin. I love you, man. Our families and everything. We've gone through so much stuff with our families, and
That's right.
it's always been. I don't think you and I have ever had a fight, to be honest. I honestly, we've maybe had this disagreements on
Disagreements, but
stuff,
yeah, yeah.
but I don't think I've ever had a fight with you. So I appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
So let
absolutely.
tell people where people can reach you. Tell people where people.
Tell
That
people
was
where
my
people can
line. Tell
reach you.
people where people. Tell people where people can reach people. Um, tell
Yeah,
us
so again, the website is platinumnutritionals.com. Another way you can get there is
down
also
there.
just put my, you could also put my name, georgebatista.com. It'll take you to the same place.
Okay.
If you want to email me, you can email me at office@georgebatista.com. If
Okay.
you have any, questions, or if you just want to talk to me about health or whatever, or if you're looking to work with me, I'm available.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna put all that information in the description below, and I'll do all that. So, all right, thank you, George. Appreciate
Thank
it,
you so
man.
much. It
Thank you
was
for
a
being
pleasure.
here. We'll definitely have you back again. We'll do this again. Maybe we'll pick a
Awesome.
topic and we'll just kind of knock out one more particular topic.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you everybody for tuning in. This is the JHS interviews. If you like what you're watching and you like the shows, please like and subscribe and share down below there. All the George's description is going to be down, and all of his information is going to be down in the description. And that is all. I will see you all on Saturday. Saturday I have a wonderful real estate guy, Mark, and his last name is hard for me to pronounce. He's a good friend of mine. He helped me move. Um, but I can never pronounce his name correctly. But it's
Hey, when
Mark
that happens.
O. I know it's Mark O. I think it's Orlowski, but anyway. But Mark's gonna be here. He's a real estate guy and an investor, and he's awesome. So tune in for that on Saturday night. Again, thank you very much. Thank you, George, and I'll see y'all all again on Saturday night. Peace.
Good night.